The first enlightened absolutists we will examine are the Austrian rulers Maria Theresa and her son Joseph II, two of the most influential monarchs of the 18th-century Habsburg Empire. In 1740, Holy Roman Emperor Charles VI died without a male heir. No one in the Habsburg family had surviving sons, so the throne passed to his daughter, Maria Theresa. However, under Habsburg law, women were barred from inheriting the throne. Realizing this early in his reign, Charles spent years negotiating with both domestic estates and foreign powers to recognize his daughter's succession. This agreement became known as the Pragmatic Sanction. Yet when Charles died in 1740, many of the European powers that had previously promised to respect his succession broke their commitments and instead took advantage of the situation. Rival states saw an opportunity to divide and seize valuable Habsburg territories. Prussia, under Frederick II, moved quickly to invade the wealthy province of Silesia, while France and several German states also rushed to claim lands for themselves, triggering a broader conflict over the Habsburg inheritance. Many rulers expected an easy victory over a young woman with no military experience. They were wrong. Maria Theresa rallied her armies and subjects, and after years of warfare, she held her empire together, losing only Silesia, which Prussia refused to return. The wars of the 1740s convinced Maria Theresa that Austria needed stronger administration, finances, and military power. From 1748 to 1756, she began major reforms. She created a regular, reliable annual budget. Efficient and punctual tax collection became a high priority. This revenue enabled her to build a much larger and more modern army. With improved finances, she raised a powerful military force capable of defending Habsburg interests. She reorganized the central bureaucracy to make it more rational and effective. In 1756, she formed an alliance with France and Russia to try again to recover Silesia from Prussia. This conflict, known in Europe as the 7 Years' War and in America as the French and Indian War, pitted her forces against the military genius Frederick the Great of Prussia. Frederick's skill was so formidable that Napoleon later remarked, standing at Frederick's tomb, that he would never have reached Berlin had Frederick still been alive. The war ended in 1763, with Maria Theresa abandoning her hope of regaining Silesia, but she did not abandon her reform agenda. Between 1763 and her death in 1780, she continued her efforts to modernize the Austrian state through a series of significant reforms. She made civil and criminal law codes more rational and humane, reflecting Enlightenment ideals of justice. She also established one of Europe's first systems of public education, helping to create a more informed and capable population. In addition, she introduced economic reforms designed to increase prosperity and strengthen the state, while taking steps to reduce some of the harshest burdens placed on the peasantry. However, she differed from most enlightened monarchs in one respect. She did not embrace religious toleration. Maria Theresa remained a deeply devout Catholic. While she reformed the church within her lands, seeking a more enlightened Catholicism, she never abandoned the belief that Catholicism should be dominant. Maria Theresa's son, Joseph II, became sole ruler in 1780, though he had been co-ruler with his mother since 1765. Joseph is often considered the most enlightened monarch of the entire 18th century. Determined to remake the Habsburg monarchy according to reason and Enlightenment ideals, he launched an avalanche of reforms. Unlike his mother, Joseph firmly believed in extensive religious freedom and pushed his policies further in that direction. He granted toleration to nearly all Protestants, allowing them greater rights to practice their faith, and he went even further by extending full citizenship to Jews, making Austria the first major European state to take such a significant step toward religious equality. He proclaimed freedom of the press, triggering an explosion of newspapers and journals, something rare outside Britain. Joseph abolished laws that provided different punishments for nobles and commoners, creating equal punishment for equal crimes. He ended serfdom, freeing peasants from the most severe obligations to their lords. Though peasants still paid rents, they no longer owed forced labor or road work. Joseph issued decree after decree, attacking privilege, expanding education, modernizing government, and attempting to rationalize nearly every aspect of society. Joseph's reforms were so rapid and far-reaching that they provoked significant resistance across his empire. Nobles resented losing control over their peasants and the traditional privileges they had long enjoyed, while many ordinary subjects opposed his policies of religious toleration, which challenged established beliefs and customs. At the same time, the free press that Joseph had permitted quickly became a source of criticism, with writers not only attacking his reforms, but often calling for even more radical changes, highlighting the unintended consequences of his efforts to modernize the state. By the time Joseph died in 1790, he believed he had failed. Yet in truth, he had created one of the most modern, centrally organized, and forward-looking states in Europe.